secret now. I see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull-no-punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal? To open eyes, hearts, and even minds to what lies on the other side, and the answers residing there.
Hey everybody, welcome. Did you get my message, Brandy?
I did. Yeah, have you seen our faces pop up right there? That was Krista, and she sent me a message and it flashed across my screen, and it says, "Boy, I messed that up."
But I didn't say mess. I said the F word. All right.
I was trying to clean it up.
Yeah. Anyway, we thank you everybody for coming in and tuning in with us tonight. It's just been a long day. I've had a busy day at work. We had our Christmas party, and it's just been on the go. So
yeah.
We were supposed to have Ronald Murphy on tonight, and 2 weeks ago, his daughter was in a really bad car accident, and she was taken back to the emergency room tonight. So please keep her and his family in your prayers. So we will reschedule him for sure.
Absolutely.
However, we do have our buddy BMR waiting backstage. So what color do you guys think his bandana is tonight, guys? Put it in chat. And the one who gets it, I'll mail you a t-shirt.
Uh-oh.
First person to get it.
Uh-oh.
So we'll give you guys a minute, and while you guys are well, so far nobody. No, Rob, you cannot give a hint. I'm not seeing. So far, nobody's guessed it yet. Oh, werewolf got it.
Oh, werewolf got it. Big old yellow.
We'll bring him up.
There he
There
is.
it is.
All right. Now, werewolf, please email us your name and address, and we'll get that out to you in the mail.
Yep. And it's blondesandbooze@gmail.com.
Yep.
So, there you go. That was kind of an impromptu thing, but I thought, why not? You know, you don't always wear yellow, Rob. That was a hard color.
Yellow is hard. I don't really often wear yellow.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
I almost, no one would have guessed the color that I was going to put on. It was chartreuse.
Oh, I know what color that is, because when my son got married, the maid of honors had that color.
Okay.
The only reason why I know that color.
It has totally been one of those days,
Yes.
So I'm sitting, in my room tonight, and then I start hearing this meow. Well, my daughter has a cat, and I'm like, where is she? I can't find her. And I'm looking, I said, did she get caught somewhere? And I'm looking all around, and then I look out on my back porch, and I have this little itty bitty black kitten sitting on my back porch. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, well, I can get it, I'll put it in a cage. I'll find it a home, no big deal. So I got out there and I put food out there, but I couldn't get the cat to come to me. So then I go and I'm telling my daughter, she's 13. She loves cats. And then she goes out there and she's sitting and she's got little cat treats. And it's this little puree stuff in these packets, right? So she's holding on to that and she's trying to coax this cat. And she's like, Mom, I think there's another one. I went, what do you mean? There's another one. So I backed back into the house and I shut the door and I left her sitting there. Next thing you know, this orange tabby cat jumps up there and it's just itty bitty. It's a little bit bigger than the black one, but it's out there. And I put the food out there when they were eating. You can pet them and stuff, but you can't grab a hold of them. They're a little skittish. But she tried and she was getting upset. She was getting emotional because, I've had problems with the dogs that live down the road a little bit. They like to, unalive things. Let's just put it that way. Mm-hmm. So she's scared about that. And she started in tears. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't going to take in two, but I guess here we go. So she sat out there with that little puree thing. They came up to her. She picked them up and grabbed them. We made them a little makeshift litter box. And we've got them in the laundry room because, I don't know if they have fleas or anything. So I got to take care of that tomorrow. But she goes, at least they're safe now. And those tears dried up and she's as happy as she can be. And I'm like,
she's probably sitting in your laundry room right now.
Probably. Yeah. Her cat is out there. Her cat is out in the living room giving me the evil eye. I'm like, don't look at me. Look at your parent. Look at your parent. I didn't do that. Your parent did that.
Right. Right. That's hilarious.
So that has been my evening. So I was talking to Kristen. I'm like, I got to go. I was like, oh my God.
You have a catastrophe.
I had a catastrophe. I did. But they're safe. They're well. They're in my laundry room. They've got a little mat and, like I said, makeshift litter box. And I'm trying to show her, I said, these cats have not probably used the litter box. So you got to take the little paws and scrub them in there. And I'm trying to tell her how to do this. And I'm like, I got to go.
Right. That's funny. I don't know. It's we've got a bunch of down here at the barn. There's a bunch of cats run around down there. And a lot of times they'll come up here on my back porch. So I lost my cat last year. So I don't have a cat right now. I just got the dogs, which these cats down there, they're pretty brave because my dogs are at my back windows all the time, Right. My dogs are fine with cats, but still, cats don't know that.
Right. It's just, my house is a favorite drop off. They don't want their animals. They drop them off out here. So I get a lot of that.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Seriously.
It is.
I had 2 Siamese cats.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying hi to everybody. So I'm typing and talking here. Yeah, I had 2 Siamese cats way back in the day when I was married. I have a lot of marriage stories. How is
you
do. So I was never ever a cat person. Now, tigers and lions, yes. Leopards, oh, absolutely. I love those. But just your everyday house cat, not such a big fan of, right? Mm-hmm. And so about a year into our marriage, the wife goes, "Hey, Robbie." I go, "What?" When she says Robbie, I know she wanted something back in the day. Oh, yes. How can I assist you? I want a cat. I go, you really? You want a cat? I'm like, And she goes, but not 1, but 2. I'm like, what? I just kind of wanted to get a German Shepherd. Nah, don't want a German Shepherd. Oh, okay. I want 2 cats. I says, well, I'm not a fan of the feline.
Yeah.
Trying to crack a joke. No, but I want 2 Siamese cats. I go, ooh, Siamese. I go, okay. Interesting. But I want seal points with blue eyes. Seal points. Now I know this now because of, hunting for these cats. You have your Siamese cats, which are like your brownish, darker caramel tan color or whatever. But these are like like a bluish gray, right? Okay, with the blue
Well,
eyes.
she wanted the high dollar ones, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, well, of course. High dollar. I'm like, okay. So we go to this. So she finds this place, and it's on a farm, and of course it's 2.5 hours to drive there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's seal points, and they had the other one is called the other breed is whatever it is, but just the brown is a breed, and then the seal points another. So I'm looking at the darker breed, and they were excuse me, they were $250 for one, and that is of the brown one. The seal point that she wanted wasn't no $250 a piece, and she wants two. So I'm thinking, well, geez, these two brown ones are $500. No, Robbie. I want the seal point. Go to the seal point, and and they were $375.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at me right now. $375. Cats. I don't even like cats. And so we're looking at these little babies. They're kittens. Ugliest, man. They were ugly. You gotta be kidding me, man. They're skinny. They look stupid. I want them. I'm gonna tell you know. And her mom and dad loved me more than her. Literally. Rachel's mom, my wife. Robbie can do no wrong. You married a great guy. Her dad. He's the best son-in-law ever. We went to all the Red Wing hockey. I mean, her mom and dad were my second set of parents. They could care less about my wife, my ex-wife. They loved me. Well, I'm gonna tell my mom and dad that you said no to me, and you know how they hold you in high regard. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want mommy and daddy mad at me because their parents, they were well off. So he gave. I mean, they spoiled me. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. We'll get the seal points. Ugly. So we get them home. A couple months go by, and they start developing, and they start looking pretty cool. And in fact, they started looking pretty sweet. I started really digging these cats. And the funny thing, and we named them Pitter and Patter. Okay. And as 3 or 4 months go by, now these Siamese cats they're looking badass. I'm kind of warming up to them. And guess what they're doing? They're starting to warm up to me.
Mm-hmm.
The wife wanted them, said she'd take care of them, would feed them, would change the litter, and hug them and love them and talk to them. And I'm like, well, you take care of that. Back earlier, I said, you take care of that because I'm working. I got no time for no cats.
Right.
So as time goes on, guess who's feeding them? Guess who's changing the litter? Guess who's playing with them? Guess who now every single night in bed, instead of rolling up and cuddling with the wife, we're cuddling with me. They are my buddies.
Mm-hmm.
They are my buddies. A few months go by. I got off work before she did, so I'd always would play with them. And again, fed them, changed their litter. When I changed their litter, man, they were on my ankles. And everybody, and I learned Siamese cats, they're very standoffish. Most cats are standoffish. And supposedly the Siamese are really independent and they don't want nothing to do with humans. But these were like always by me, always. So I started teaching the cats. I wanted a dog, right? So I started teaching them how to play fetch. Cats don't play fetch. So I'd roll a ball, and typically you roll a ball, they play with it, frolic around and take off. They would start bringing the ball back to me and dropping it like a little puppy or a dog. They would do the same thing with a stick, whatever. And we became buddies, man. We were playing. I love these guys. All of a sudden, I love them now. Pitter and Patter, my pals. So the wife, she started getting pissed. Why do Pitter and Patter give you so much attention? I said, well, I'm the one that takes care of them. I'm the one that talks to them.
Mhm.
So, that was I got divorced. I was married 7 years and got divorced. And you guys know, because of their attention they gave to me, she, the wife, tells you what type of dingbat she was, started getting jealous.
Over cats.
Yeah, because they just loved good old
Yeah,
Robbie
that's
boy,
crazy.
right? Yeah, but not where we were getting fights, but I could tell she was irritated. Maybe irritated is the best word. So we had him for, when we got divorced, they were still alive. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll be taking the cats. And she's like, no, I'm taking the cats. They don't like you. They don't like you. They
That's
hate
funny.
you. I raised them. Pitter and patter are mine. They're my kids. They're my kids, not
Right.
yours. If they could speak, they would tell you.
Right.
So, but prior to that, though, I got to tell you guys something. Then we can move on with, other things. The worst day of my life, one of the worst days, I got home from work at lunchtime. Someone broke into my house, broad daylight. And my first house, I lived across the street from a church. I get in the house. My house is ransacked. Back in the day, I had one of those big, you remember the big screen TV that was like 85
Real heavy
inches
ones.
thick?
Yep.
Yeah.
They couldn't get it out of the house. They dragged it halfway through, stopped. Remember the curio cabinet room with all the creepy stuff? Oh, didn't touch that. Nothing was gone there. This is before I had those other encounters, right?
Right.
That was cool. Oh, and we had the portable phones. They're all stolen. My back in the day, I had the big Infinity studio speakers stolen. Kenwood Pioneer equipment stolen. All the cool stuff was stolen. But my first thing, though, you guys, despite having all these personal effects taken, I'm looking for Pitter and Patter.
Right.
I can't find them. Now, Pitter and Patter, the wife had all 4 of their paws declawed, by the way. So if they were left outside, there's no way to defend themselves or anything.
Right.
Like that. So they were house cats. I would take them outside just to get them some sun, but I was scared to let them, take off and stuff.
Right.
So, man, I'm looking for the cats. Pitter, patter, I'm all about the house. Can't find them. And then I started getting this creepy feeling because I heard stories about what people that break your houses do with animals.
Mm-hmm.
Of putting them in the oven, putting them in the microwave.
Right.
There's stories like that. I go to my oven. I open the oven door like this, I'm not in there.
Thank God.
I go to the microwave. Scared. Open it. They're not in there. So 2 days go by, you guys, and I can't find the cats. They're gone. 2 days. I said, those bastards, they stole my cats,
Thank you, Bart.
Thank you, Bart.
They took my cats. I'm thinking to myself, 2 days go by. I'm sad. I'm out in the neighborhood looking. Then I'm thinking, man, an animal got them. They can't defend themselves. The morning of the 3rd day, I'm in this one room. I'm laying on a couch and I hear this. Wah, 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 wah. I get up. Am I dreaming? And I can hear these little muffled voices.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know, you guys, I'm searching, and then the muffled, then it started turning into like really meows.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 cats were so scared they burrowed themselves up in my sofa, and they sat there for 2.5 days.
Wow.
Before they finally got enough confidence to come out.
Wow.
So you know what that tells me? These people that came in my house must have been some really bad dudes. They probably got a very terrible vibe about them,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I was so happy, I said, oh my, there they are.
Yeah, your cats.
My Lord. And but boy, think about that for a minute. For somebody to be so terrified.
Yeah.
Where they loved me, didn't care too much about her. Even though they knew I was home for those 2.5 days, they still were so scared. They had to make absolute certain
Right.
that episode was over. I'll never forget that. And it gave me a thought about people and these criminals, these people that do these things. We always talk about the intent and these vibes, this energy. That must have been some evil energy, man, for them to be that scared,
Right.
I'll never forget that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
I have a funny cat story. Okay. And then we'll all three tell our cat stories. Then we'll go on to the good stuff. Okay. So years ago, I used to work part-time at a horse sale, and I was a clerk. I was up there with the auctioneer, and when somebody would buy something, I'd write their numbers, and it was a horse sale, but they also did small animals before the horses, which was like chickens, rabbits, things like that. So somebody brought in some kittens, and they were Siamese looking. They were Siamese mix.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, they're kind of cute, and they got a couple of them out. And I'm like, I think I want one of those. So I bid on it. I ended up paying $20 for a cat. My husband, who has been raised in the country, raised on a hog farm his whole life, cats are a dime a dozen, and when I told him, he's like, you did not pay for that cat. I said, oh, yes, I did. I paid $20 for that cat. I can take you out at any barn and we can find a barn cat, But anyway, we ended up having that cat. We had him for years, and he was the best cat. He ended up getting that kidney disease that cats get.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we saved him once. I had to switch his food over to expensive food. And then one day the kids came home from school. I came home from work, and he was half dead. And it was because of that. The vet had said it could happen again. It could never happen again, but keep him on this food. And it was probably a year and a half later. That was sad. Anyway, that's my cat story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well,
and thank you to Shadows also. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But yeah, so anyway, it's been a interesting day for all of us. So.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Today, it's always an interesting day for me. This afternoon, I did my giveaway for the kids. Remember I told you about my bar? I used to give away Santa, and I haven't done it in 2 years since 2020.
Yeah.
So, and I had a party at the house last year. I had 100 people last year. I said, way too many people.
Right.
Remember I was telling you guys yesterday, I called Brandy and Krista. I can't find no damn crab meat.
A true story.
Yeah. And they're like, and so I'm shopping with these two on the phone. And, I found the crab meat, right? Because I was having people over because I did a smaller party earlier today for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a giveaway. So I had a lot of people donating money. And so we had like 20 kids, people from the bar. We gave away some presents today. That's what I did.
Thank you, Shade.
Oh, thank you, Shade.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's awesome.
And I made this big crab dip thing. And I looked it up online,
Yeah. How did it turn out?
Of course, I made it. It was fantastic.
Well, there you go. So last question on the crab. Did you end up buying real crab or the imitation crab?
Well, I told you guys the real crab was $26.99.
Right.
The imitation was $23.99. So I said, screw it. I'm going with the real stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
so
awesome.
That went off without a hitch. That's the last time I'm doing this, though, because I got to tell you, it's pretty exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
But I love it because like I told you guys before, I love this time of year, helping people. And that's one thing I miss about the bar, because we did a lot of cool things for people during the holidays. We gave away stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing I do regret, I guess, in retrospect, especially now,
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't,
this time of the year, it's just, like it's all about like helping others too, because that's my job. That's what I do. Literally people come in, they can't afford to pay their electric bill or their house payment or their water. So, we help fund them. And today we had our Christmas party, and the main lady of the place, she's wonderful. And she was talking about, kind of gave a little motivational speech, and, was talking about, be thankful for what you have, because there's so many people out there that don't have food, don't have, a place to sleep, don't know when or where, they can even get a drink of water, and the things we take for granted is even going to the bathroom and having toilet paper, like she was talking about. And one of the final messages she gave, and I've had a heck of a 2023. It's been awful for me this last quarter, but was the message was, don't take your burdens to 2024, leave them at 2023. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my resolution.
That's
there
an
you
awesome
go.
resolution.
Yep. New year, new stuff.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, let's talk ghosts.
Yeah, I got to tell you guys, I had something, I always have something, and I did this. This was around Christmas time, and Krista, you said you heard the story once, and you're like, you never told me that, but I'm not getting into that one just yet. I got this other one. You know how I spent a lot of time at the mobile gas station?
Mm-hmm.
You guys know it. I
Yes.
got my stickers on the windows. I got all my stuff in there.
Right.
Hey, BMR, I walk in mobile, BMR. So I'm always in there. But this, I was talking to this guy, and again, a lot of things happen to me right around this time of year, right? Which are usually all they're pretty cool. They're pretty upbeat. So this was last year. There was kind of like a power outage in and around me. And again, you guys know me again. You've known me long enough. I lose power like turning on the water faucet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in my favorite mobile. Power just came back on. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry is there at the station filling up their cars. And this is a big mobile mart. It's kind of not like your typical gas station. Whatever you need is there. But this line was like 20 people deep. And I don't care. My truck was parked out and I was just getting ready to, tell the guy to turn on the pump. So there's a guy in front of me. He's a Spaniard, a Mexican descent. I could just tell. And he was I knew he was a construction worker by his clothing, and he had like dust on his fingers and stuff. And he spoke American, and he's Americanized, of course, not from the border or anything like that, And I always strike up conversations in line wherever I'm at. So this guy's on the phone talking about this job that he was on. And how he was getting kind of a little creeped out about this job. And I'm listening, and I kind of said, hey, I kind of heard part of what you were talking about. I said, I'm into all things like, excuse me, but, it sounds kind of strange. I said, I'm into that. I have a podcast. I talk about stuff like this. He looks at me kind of like surprised that I'm, being friendly or whatever. And so he goes, well, do you got a minute? I go, yeah. He goes, well, we're in line. The line is kind of moving. He goes, hey, can we go outside? He goes, are you in a hurry? I said, no, I'm always up for a story. So we go out and we're sitting out. We pull up this bench. He's sitting down and he pulls out a cigarette, starts telling me this story. And so I first was, now, when they asked me, what do you know about? So you said you like strange stuff. What do you mean? I said, well, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to believe me, but I've seen a Bigfoot. You know what a Bigfoot is? Oh, yeah.
Did you tell him what your name is?
Yeah, I go, well, no. And I go, he goes, Chupacabra. I go, yeah. So I know this guy knows. He knows some things, right? I go, yeah, well, I have a podcast, YouTube. I'm Rob. They call me BMR. And then I pointed, and there's my BMR stickers on the front of the mobile gas station. Oh, you're that guy. Yeah, I see the sticker all the time,
That's awesome.
So we're talking. He goes, yes, okay, Rob. He goes, my name's Pete. I go, Pedro? He goes, yeah, I go by Pete though, because Pedro, I'm just, breaking the ice. It's just, I took Spanish in high school, so I'm kind of okay with it, speaking Spanish. So we're talking, and he's like, well, I got to tell you, I'm doing this house, which was not too far from where I live. And he goes, he's remodeling the kitchen and the bathroom. An insurance job. He got the best bid. So these people went with this guy. And he goes, yeah, he's tearing out all the flooring in the kitchen and the bathroom. And in the kitchen, and the bathroom is a total everything's being redone. Took off all the tiles in this and redoing the entire thing from right down to the nuts and bolts, the studs, if you will. And the people that the reason he got contracted is because of his heritage, his nationality. They wanted a Mexican style, theme throughout the bathroom that led to the kitchen. So he wanted those sorts of tiles, the browns, the blues, the yellows. And in the back of this shower, this couple, this family that was getting it redone, wanted the back of the shower to be a mural of the sun, the mountains, and he wanted it all done in this cool Spanish style. And he says, I started on this job. He's been working on it for several days. And it's coming together. He goes, he's about halfway done. And he's got like the sun rising in the background, or some coyotes in the background, some various other vegetation, just a real pretty mountains, very pretty as he's describing. He goes, yes, it's one of my best work. And I'm just, he goes, I look back, I was just in awe of it. He goes, so the other day at lunch break, he leaves and he goes to the mobile, because again, the mobile has lunch foods. He sits on the bench around, has his lunch, goes back to the house. He goes, now, Robert, actually he called me Robert. I go back to the house and I go into the bathroom, and he goes, I swear to you on my family, what I saw, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I go, what do you mean? In the bathroom? He goes, yes, in the bathroom, where he's putting up the beautiful tile mural in the shower, halfway done, explained once again, the sun, the animals, all this, the mountains. Beautiful, he says. Rob, do you know, when I got back and I looked at this mural, I felt I was remembered at the Twilight Zone. I go, yeah. The entire mural from halfway down, if you're looking at it straight ahead, you can see it. It's coming all together, perfectly in line. He goes, I went back, the entire tiles, the mural was upside down. The sun was at the top of the mural. It's now at the bottom. The coyote's legs are up in the air. Everything is reversed upside down.
Wow.
And he's yelling out to his workers, hey, come on. You guys playing some games? Well, number one, it took him 2 days to get that far.
Right.
This happened in a half-hour lunch break, and he goes to the tiles, and you know what? The other thing is where he knew that it wasn't just, they were put in beautifully. It's going to take 2 days to do that. But the thing about it is they were cemented perfectly, dried, and they were in the back of the wall. He goes,
that is weird.
So he's asking me, so with all these things you're showing, Bigfoot, paranormal, all this, what do you think that was? I go, well, first of all, Pete, I never heard anything like that before. Okay?
I haven't either.
And I didn't have the answers for this guy. And typically I could give somebody something. Right. And I'm thinking, well, kind of sounds paranormal to me. I mean, that's the first thing that popped in my mind. I couldn't process the fact that this mural got spun upside down and it was hardened into the back of the wall in the shower.
Yeah, that
just is not.
That is weird.
You can't do that.
No.
Again, it took this guy 2 days to get that far.
Right.
And to tear that down and put it all back up in 30 minutes and have it all hardened, it's just not natural. Nobody can do that. I don't care if you're the best tilist in the world, you're not going to be able to pull that feet off. And I'm not a handyman when it comes to that. So I'm not speaking with fact, but a person with common sense.
Yeah. It's got to be
conclusion.
So the only thing that I have ever heard about that would even come close, and it's nothing to do with like building or anything, but that something that happens that fast, the Sally House in Atchison, Kansas. Okay. They actually watched a beautiful bouquet of flowers just wilt and rot right in front of them. And it was that quick. So, I mean, apples to oranges kind of, but that's, I don't know. I mean, it's paranormal. So anything's possible,
Yeah, you can't make grout dry faster than it
No.
wants to. You just can't.
No.
And then they tell you itself, it takes up to 24 hours to even,
Right.
like
harden.
become dry.
Yeah. That is so weird.
And he said it took him 2 days to get halfway done. And again, he was just admiring his work before he left for lunch, how beautiful a job he thought that he was doing. And then to get back after lunch and it's reversed, it's upside down, hardened. Yeah. See, there's no, how does that happen, you guys? I felt kind of bad because I was kind of, talking it up like I knew a lot of things, sure. Just from my own experiences, but I'm like, dude, I got no answers, man.
Yeah. I mean,
no.
And it wasn't done by, I tell you what, I told him this, I said, it wasn't done by your employees, so don't get mad at them. I'm sure they had nothing to do with it. Even if they did, that's not possible. And then, of course, agree. Me as a professional, I'm not. He goes, absolutely, I know they didn't do it. It's not humanly possible.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So we did, hey, it was something out of this world, something supernatural, something paranormal, something.
Yeah.
And so I got to thinking, though, and I'm just wondering, I've so wanted to go back to this house. I don't know how to go about this. And this is a while back. I wonder what the history is behind the house. You know how about my bar, the history when I had the ghost experiences in the bar and I did the research, it was prohibition, this and that and the other. And the ghosts I saw were from the prohibition time.
Right.
One thing perhaps this house was built maybe an older style home, maybe something happened there. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I did ask him about the couple, the homeowners. He said he didn't know much about them. They had been there for a couple of years. That's why they're going through these renovations. It was one of those houses that was, bought on the HUD program, which are very cheap governmental housing, where people just let it go to hell. They can't.
Yeah.
They get foreclosed, whatever. So they get foreclosed. So I'm thinking that maybe there was something behind the history, or maybe a prior owner. But yeah, very. I never came across a story like that before.
Yeah, it could be anything. Like Krista and I have talked about before, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with the house or the property. It's a certain item.
Could be.
It's a certain item in the house, and he could have had a family heirloom in there, and it's just there. It doesn't have to necessarily be that house.
Mm-hmm.
So
True story. Mm-hmm. And that, like I said, I mean, watching flowers wilt in front of your face is nothing like what you witnessed. However, my point being is that something that's so quick, that it's just.
Yeah, it happened so fast.
Well, I tell you what, seeing flowers wilt in front of you would scare the crap out of me because we've all seen, again, I hate to refer to movies where there's a vampire, right? Or a demon. And you see these movies where the flowers you're looking at them, they just wilt because there's this evil presence is there. Cold, right?
And that is the Sally house. It is a demonic house,
Yeah.
So
yeah. So well that
happened.
So that was quite the story.
I'm not saying that house was a demonic house. That's not my point.
Yeah.
I understand. Paranormal,
yeah.
And some funky's going on there. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
No, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Mm-mm. So I've been
go ahead, Brandy.
I've been combing through evidence, and everybody knows that I've been to Ohio State Reformatory, and we were just recently at the Ray County Museum. And I found two little clips. Actually, one of them is a clip from Ohio State Reformatory from my friend Deb, who went with me. And there's something very peculiar in this video clip. Now, she did this in thermal. But if you're looking at me, if you're looking straight onto to the thermal, right down below is Debbie's hand where she's holding the thermal. You can see her hand. Off to the left-hand side, you'll see my leg that comes down. You'll see my foot. But in the thermal, you'll notice that there is a very faint heat signature. It's coming up turquoise but it's down on the floor. It looks like a head, shoulders, and a little bit of the torso and the arms. And you see it right by my foot.
Yeah, I'll play it a couple times real quick.
Right. And then if you look straight on, there is another strange heat signature, but you don't really see it till the end of the clip. And then you can see a full body with arms, legs, head, everything standing right. Yeah. Right in front of where she's sitting. So that would have been, again, off to my side. But it's, I'm not saying this is evidence, and I'm not saying this is real. I can't debunk this. This is where I can't, because like I said, this is a thermal. It is showing a very faint heat signature, and I don't know how you can fake thermals. You know, maybe somebody can enlighten me, but
I'll play it here now. It's only 6 seconds, and I'll play it a couple times. So okay, here we go.
I accidentally flashed it.
No, it's not.
Oh.
We're looking down the hall. Okay, like I said, if you see my leg, look directly right at my leg and you'll see it there.
I accidentally flashed it.
No, it's not.
Oh.
We're looking down the hall. Did everybody see that?
Did you see it, Rob?
Can you play it one more time?
Yep.
Yeah, or just hold it there so I can point it out.
You can't hold it on stream.
Oh, you can't hold it.
I accidentally flashed it.
No, it's not.
Oh.
We're looking down the hall. But you can, like I said, you can see my leg, and then you can see this thing just sitting right next to me, just doing this.
Yes,
but you can only see, like you're seeing me right now on the screen, you can only see this part of it.
Right.
It's just very strange. Very strange. And like I said, what I'll do with that is I will upload that on YouTube so you can all go back and look at that. But it's very strange. And like I said, I can't debunk it. It's showing a very faint heat signature, and it was not a raccoon. I'm looking at what Chris said. It's not a raccoon, only because this was a room that wasn't very big. I was sitting in a chair. There were 4 of us in that room, and nothing else was in the room. This was a totally enclosed. This was the Ohio State Reformatory, and this was in the administration building. So they keep that very nice because that's where they have their all their offices and all of that kind of stuff. It's all in that part of that prison. So it's all well kept. But it was very strange in this room. And like I said, straight across from her, where you can see her hand holding on to the thermal, straight across from her, right at the end, you see a full body standing there. So I'll put that up where you guys can replay that.
I'll play it one more time.
Okay.
I accidentally flashed it.
No, it's not.
Oh.
We're looking down the hall.
That heat signature on, I guess, the left, that is, we don't know.
The heat signature on the left is Brandy's legs.
That's okay. It's your leg.
Yes.
Okay, now that was you. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
if you were alive, it's going to show yellow and red.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's showing any other type of heat signature, any other type of heat signature, it will come up different colors. Like I said, the other ones were showing some type of heat signature because everything would be very blue or black if it's cold. But these things had a turquoise look to it, which was very strange.
What is the other video that you sent?
Okay. Now the video, this was at the Ray County Museum. And Aaron Smith and I were just sitting there. This was after, the show was over, and we were just sitting there, and she had her grid going, and we're watching her grid. And if you watched our show on that, you've seen what that grid looks like. It's all those green little dots.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, it cut power immediately. It was just off. And she's like looking at me, and she's like, I wonder if this will do what it did last weekend. And I said, what do you mean last weekend? She goes, I asked her to turn it back on, and it did. I'm like, well, okay. So I turned on my video camera, and sure enough, she asked it to turn it back on. It came back on. And then it stayed on for a brief second or two, and then all the power just got sucked out of it. She had just charged it. That was what was amazing about it. We had a good view. We had only been sitting there a few minutes, and it went off. And then She asked it to bring it back on. It did, and then it just sucked all the power out of it. So it was kind of amazing. Like I said, I can't debunk this either because we had just charged it. And then when we went back down, it was completely dead. So we had to recharge it again.
All right, I'll play it. It's a 46-second video. So here it is.
Ooh, nice.
Do I need to do it myself or will you do it for me?
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh.
Come on. Keep it on for me. Oh, God, look at the temperature.
Oh.
Can you please turn it back on for me? Do I need to reach for it? Okay, I'm going to do it.
Didn't turn it back on, did it?
And now I can't find the button. Let's start this over. Find the button.
Yeah, see, that's when we figured out that the battery was totally dead, and she just charged it. If you remember, Krista, she had it plugged into your computer.
She did.
And the funny thing about that is that it has a push button.
Mhm.
You have to actually manually hit that button to turn it on and turn it off. You have to hit that button.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of weirdness. And then we also got some weird noises throughout the night. So I slept in the apartment part of the museum, and Brandy and Aaron Smith, they slept in the chapel, I guess / funeral parlor.
Right.
And do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah. Well, see, I've really got to go through that. You got to understand that this. Oh, thank you, DJ. You got to remember that this place is heated by radiator heat. It's all radiated and natural gas. So there is ticking that goes on when these radiators come on and they go off. So I put a recorder out there in the hallway. Now we're sleeping in the funeral parlor, and I put one out in the hallway, and you could hear this thing tick. But I mean, this thing would get loud, and then it would die down, do it real quiet, and get super loud. But the strange thing of that is then we started hearing like taps elsewhere, which there was no other radiator in that area. We started hearing other taps. We started hearing footsteps. There was also like shuffling, like they were shuffling papers or moving stuff around and things like that. With all of the noises going on, it's really hard for me to separate all that. I mean, I can, but I mean, it's super hard. But I mean, there were things going on, but it was very quiet that night, considering all other nights that we had been there.
Yeah.
And, but I found that fascinating that I didn't hear that radiator click at all night long until I decided to put that recorder out there and then go to bed. And then next thing you know, it was like trying to play the drums all the way through there. Like it was beating on the glass counter, and then it was on a wood something, and then the radiator. And, what I thought was funny is I had Krista's girls, her daughters, we were in the genealogy room, and we were just playing with tuning forks and tingsha bells and the singing bowls, and so we were making a lot of noise in there, tons of noise. You could hear it all over this place. So, I'm wondering if they were imitating what we were kind of doing. They're like, well, you keep us up, we're going to keep you up type of thing. It's like, you're going to beat on these things, we're going to beat on that. But I mean, next time, I'm going to really try and maybe sleep upstairs. And then, put a DVR in a place where a radiator is not. That way we can, get a better sense of what's going on. Like I said, it's all blended in there. You definitely hear something going on. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of movement.
Well, in that particular room that you slept in, I've slept in there several times myself, and you do lay there and hear footsteps and stuff. The floor is a wood floor through there.
Yes.
That particular room she was in is carpeted, but the floor to the hallway and the steps are all wood. So you hear, that's normal. However, the EVPs, some of those was kind of like, I don't know about that, So
Mhm.
once you look into it a little more, then you can come back and update us all on that.
Yeah, there is definitely shuffling, and we did hear some footsteps and stuff. But like I
Yeah.
said, that radiator was loud, and so I'll have to figure out a different place to maybe set up some recorders and see what I get.
Yeah.
But like I said, with her grid, that was amazing because it had went off, and she goes, "I wonder if it'll come on." If I asked him to turn it on like I did last week, I said, "Okay." And
Yeah.
sure enough, we were sitting in the dark, and there it went, and then went off, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And that was just a matter of 5 minutes from when she took it out of the computer. We walked upstairs and sat down.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
It just ate all of it. It didn't care. It was like whatever energy it had, it was gone.
Right. Yeah. It's just weird stuff,
Mhm.
Anyway, it was an interesting night. It was a fun night. It wasn't as active as it usually is. We did get a few things, and like I said, that museum, there's nothing negative there anymore. Everything negative has been removed out of there, and it's a good place. And we actually had validation. A friend of ours was there who he's a psychic medium. However, he's the best around. I've never met anybody better. And he's the one that actually cleared it to begin with, and he walked through there and said there's nothing. He said it's got a good vibe to it now.
I got to ask you, since I know we only got a couple of minutes, just I have a short question for either Brandy or Krista.
Mhm.
Those, I don't know the names of all the equipment you guys use, so I'm just going to sound like a dummy. But when they put you put those balls on the floor, and then they turn off, they turn red.
Cat balls.
Cat balls. Now is
They're cat toys.
Now when they go off, is that energy going?
They have to be moved. They have to be moved to light
some
up.
presence moves it.
Yes.
Yeah. Which was interesting because we were down in the basement, and we had one cat ball out there. And it was going off. And that's when I was telling Ava, hey, why don't you set more off in a line towards the door, and let's see what we can get moving, if we can get something moving. And as soon as we asked it to move one, that wasn't that first one that I kept using. I'm like, can you move another one closer to the door? Well, then the second one went off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. True story. It was crazy. Do you guys want to take a break, or you want to keep rolling?
I don't know. Let's just take a break, and then we'll come back in just a second, I guess.
And when we come back, we'll talk. Let's get into a little bit of woo talk. Let's talk.
Yeah,
about
I really want to talk about the woo because
and Bigfoots and aliens and
I really want to talk about that because you guys got me really concerned, about the barn incident at the LBL. So I really want to talk about that. So
okay. We can definitely do that. So guys, stick with us. We will be back in 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
so desperate on my knees to breathe. And I hear the voice of an angel telling me not to
nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Real quick, we've got a couple questions here, Rob. One for you and the other one. Let me go to them here real quick. Let me put the one up. Wendy asks, what did Pedro end up doing about his tile work? Good question.
Yeah, I kind of did answer that already in chat, but as I said, that was the first time I talked to him. We talked about the upside down tile mural.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Certainly, I would love to know what he did, right?
Yeah, me too.
I'd actually.
So if you find out, you got to let us know.
Yeah, well, maybe Pedro will be up at the mobile. I'm there like every day. Hopefully, he's still working in the area. Well, that was last year, though, and I haven't seen him since, as I said. So,
well, keep your eyes open for Pedro.
I'd like to know where that house is at least. I'm not shy. I'd go knock on the door. Hey, by the way. Wow.
Right. And then there's another question. CL Light says, do spirits know they aren't alive? Can they be sent into the light, or is that horse crap? Why do some spirits seem to hang around while others don't? So here's the deal, CL Light. You cannot make a spirit leave. I mean, I don't care what people say. You can do a cleansing, you can do, put out good energy, you can do things like that. However, if it's attached to an item, you can remove the item and then they're gone. But as far as sending them to the light, I mean, it's free will. So if they don't want to go, they're not going to go. You can encourage them, you can talk to them, you can, things like that. But that's my belief. A lot of people say they can make them go, but that's just
for me, I mean, that goes back to my spiritual side. It's like, that's God's job. And he's the only one that can make them do something. We can't do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I say something really quick before we start? Well, first of all, Catherine, I sent you something. I know your Facebook's messed up. So when you get that up and running, because she is also a moderator for me, and give me your info and I guess you got hacked. But I wanted to say something, and this is not like a cheap plug because this really means a lot to me. Krista and I, Tuesday night on my live show, we did the with Sibylla Irwin.
Yep. Great show.
We did my Bigfoot. I brought the Bigfoot to life with her. And I do want people to go watch that because now you can put the image behind my encounter. And it does mean a lot to me because if I didn't have that encounter, I wouldn't be here with you guys today. I wouldn't have started a podcast. And I started a podcast to help others that suffered like I did. And I had a person die on me, right? So it does mean a lot to me. And also, another thing I'd like to mention, a lot of people after that video asked, Rob, we've never seen your encounter story. A lot of people apparently haven't heard it. Like I do have a lot of newer subscribers, and I got to thank Josh Turner for that too, for helping me out in Barton and you guys. So thank you guys. But they haven't heard it. And my encounter video is not on my channel. I've done 300 podcasts where I tell the story. So today, about an hour ago, again, after this show, check out the Tuesday show with me and Krista with Sibylla. And she also did sketches of two Bigfoot and two dogmen with the story. It's one of the best shows we did together, I think. And today I dropped, it's on video, it's on my channel, my encounter story. I told it again with the pictures of the thumbnail of the humanoid turning into the demon. And those pictures also full blown on Tuesday's show. Again, not a cheap plug, everybody, but this means a lot to me because I still am scarred by what happened to me. And it's important for me, for people to see it. Not for views, not for popularity, but there's a story there. And the story is
it's a healing process for you as well.
It always is. It is today. And right now I could probably shed a tear.
Yeah.
And not because I was scared, but until you process something that incredible, you'll never know. You'll never know.
Yeah.
So I asked people to go check out tonight's video about my story and Tuesday, and of course all the other shows on the Bigfoot Mission Rob YouTube channel.
Also, you are going to be a guest Wednesday night in Humanoids with Barton Nunnelly.
I'll be on Barton. Yeah, me and Barton will be talking some creepy stuff.
Yep.
So
you got some good stuff out there, and that show was it was a good show. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and not only seeing your Bigfoot, I mean, I've heard a lot about it, but other people's, and now they're all different,
And I wait. They're all different. Sibylla's a great artist, and she did 4 renditions of other stories. So the show all around was great.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
And what I loved about it took me 5 years, and we finally got the portraits, the picture, the rendition done of mine. And now it makes me feel better today because when you tell a story, people in their mind, everyone process. I said this the other night. 100 people could hear my story, and 100 people could have different visualizations of what I saw. But now, when you hear the story, and these renditions, you guys are 95% to what I saw, except it's artwork. But it's 95% accurate. And now, when you kick back, shut your eyes, listen to the story, and picture these things, these creatures in your mind, that really, I listened to my own story again with those images always in my mind, but it just brings more life to it.
Sure.
It makes it that much more compelling,
Yeah.
So,
Which-
I wanted to mention that tonight. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, which brings us into like the woo, because your encounter does have a woo factor to it. It morphed into some demonic looking thing.
right. Yeah, it did.
And then it's, so your encounter was totally different than what Brandy and I saw. And that amazes me that just, and there's so many different encounters out there and everybody's just different. And that's, and what they look like. And it just, I don't know. It just brings me, I have a lot more questions.
Yeah. And, and it's funny because every one of these Bigfoot, Dogman, even, they all are different looking. There's not one identical one. And mine, as Sibylla said, was unlike anything she's ever done in the decade that she's been doing these. You were right there, Chris. What did she say? She said, I didn't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
Never in her life. Yeah.
She's fantastic. I actually, before I hopped on here tonight, she put out a one with Matt Imch with his Dogman.
Oh,
and that's a scary looking creature too. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you can watch that one.
And in fact, Barton did the show with the picture. Yeah, we showed what's his name? Joe
Barge. Yeah.
Joe Barge.
I mean,
We showed that on the show Tuesday as well and told his story. Well, Barton did a fabulous job on his show, of course. But the image I think was on his thumbnail. But we got the big blown up picture on the Tuesday show as well. So
yeah. So you guys definitely go check them out because it puts life to these encounters. It really does. Where you hear I've heard your encounter and I've heard others' encounters, and it's like wow. I couldn't imagine going face to face with these creatures that I saw that night. On that she brought to life. I couldn't imagine. Because Brandy and I, what we had. It wasn't a bad encounter at all.
No.
It wasn't bad. No, it was not. And with Bigfoot, a lot of them are okay, I guess. We don't hear many. Certainly not like Dogman, right?
Right.
However,
right.
Even if what you saw was, if you would have seen that, Brandy, Krista, from that night when you guys were camping, just to see it in front of you, and if say it was docile and just stand, you can't imagine something 9-10 feet tall, just a beast just looking at you.
Right.
You'd be freaked, even though it might not be threatening that particular instance. But man, just you can't process something that supposedly everybody is not supposed to exist. But I know they exist. Brandy knows.
I know they exist.
A lot of people in chat know they exist. And and I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. I don't care if they believe or not. But what we all have seen in our lifetime is why we do what we do. And you guys, of course, on the paranormal side.
Right. And I don't care. I have that attitude though. It doesn't bother me what people think of me.
Oh, me.
And like even at work, when it was my birthday, they're like, well, what do you like? I'm like, Bigfoot, UFOs, and ghosts. And they kind of look at me like, I'm like, well, you asked me what I like,
Yeah, right.
So anyway, it's I just don't care what people think, and and I wish more people had that attitude, because a lot of people, I think, keep it quiet because of the ridicule that they get. And fortunately, there's channels like ours and yours, Rob, Tex, Bart's, PRT, channels like that they can go to, and they can feel safe and be believed of what happened, no matter how far-fetched it sounds, because
you're
a lot of
absolutely
these
right.
do sound like, whoa,
And you're absolutely right. And there's so many people. And again, this is not a marketing thing on my part. I wrote that book. My book, those are people that came to me in anonymity, and they said, yeah, you can put in your book. We just don't want to be judged, ridiculed. They didn't even want to come on any shows of ours because they didn't even want their face blanked out. They just, so look, I just can't. I don't want my family to find out. My employer. I don't want to look like a fool.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I tell these people, you're not fools, but I get it. So I brought their stories to life in the book. Bigfoot Mission Represents True Cryptid Encounters, book one, found on Amazon. Okay, I'm done with that. Thank you.
And then there's, I don't know. I just feel like people, if they would come out more, then I think for you, this has been a healing thing for
Yeah,
you,
every day it is
you
that I
know,
talk about it. It is,
and I wish more people felt like they could trust shows like ours and yours
Oh,
and come out and tell their encounters, because we do believe them. And honestly, I've witnessed some stuff in the paranormal that, Rob and Brandy know, but like people be like, there's no way that happened. Well, yeah, it did. I swear it on my life. It happened.
and
So I am not one to judge anybody. But if you tell me, whatever happened, I believe you.
and even
Mhm.
and even for not, let's forget about cryptids and paranormal for a moment. Any experience that a person has in her life, and I've learned this from other people, anything with your family, friends, work, relationships, something that bothers you or traumatizes you, it don't have to be again Bigfoot,
Right.
Dogman, life things that happen. When you speak of these things,
It's healing.
when you hold things in, everybody, it just makes you miserable. It
Mhm.
makes you a lesser person. Maybe you don't think so, but you just do things in a negative light
Right.
because you need to expound on
Yep.
things that happen. And people that
Yeah.
hold that in, I feel bad for them because they walk through life just afraid of their own shadow because they have nowhere to go.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there's always somebody out there, that you can turn to. Always, always,
There always is.
Yeah. So don't ever, people don't ever think you're alone, because you're not. You just got to reach out,
Yep.
for sure. We've all been there, I mean, there's not a person on this panel and not a person in that chat, I guarantee you, that hasn't been depressed or sad or, at some point. So,
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, and I do have to say about the encounter that Krista and I had, um, just seeing it, at first I could talk about it, that morning, it's like everything spilled out, everything got out that needed to get out, we couldn't talk about it, um, for certain reasons, but we couldn't talk about it until we were allowed to talk about it.
mhm.
But I'll tell you what, during that time, I sat there and I'm thinking, do I really want to be one of those people that other people criticize for seeing something that they haven't?
Right.
Mhm.
You know, it just flipped my switch. It was just kind of like, I don't mind talking about it, and I'll talk with everybody about their encounters. But when it actually happened to me, I sat there and was thinking to myself, do I really want to be that? Do I want
Mhm.
do I want people to look at me like I'm crazy? And
Right.
then, and the more I talked about it, it's like, well, yeah, they're going to have to think I'm crazy if they want to, because I seen it. You can't tell me I didn't see it. It happened. I'm sorry, but it happened. And
Mhm.
I have witnesses, and testimonies and video of stuff, of evidence. And I'm like, if you want to call me a liar, go ahead.
Yep.
But I'm not. I'm not, you
Right.
know. And I guess that's why I love the platforms that we're doing, because we just wind up, let's go, just tell us
Mhm.
all about it. I'm not going to say anything. I
Yeah.
wasn't there. I was not there. I'm not going to sit there and judge anybody about nothing,
Nope. Nope.
because of the stuff that I've seen my entire life, and especially now because it's gone past the paranormal and it's into the cryptid, and I'm like, you can't turn back. You
You
can't
can't.
backpedal. It's you can't unsee it. There you
And
go.
and I gotta tell you guys, referring back earlier too, this is such a different subject run now, but real briefly, even talking to the man Pedro at the mobile gas station, I guess people talk to me, okay, for whatever the reason, people can talk to me, a
Mhm.
stranger. I'm guessing it was hard for that guy to really tell me that. He
Sure.
was troubled man, a stranger, and of course, it made it easier that I told him I'm into weird stuff, man. Start talking. And I felt, in a way, in reflecting back, that guy was probably glad he told me, and I was
Sure.
glad he did. And I felt good in a
Sure.
strange way, even though he don't know what the hell was going on.
Mhm.
He needed a release valve or whatever.
Right.
And I think he probably, although being weirded out, probably felt a little bit better when he went back to that house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, you know, like a lot of these encounters that we hear, like yours, for example, you know, that's pretty woo. And, you know, but what Brandy and I saw, there was nothing woo about that night. There was no orbs. There was nothing woo at all. So it was two totally different encounters that, you know, I don't know. It leads me down a road like, you know, are there different kinds that maybe some of them are flesh and blood and some of them are, you know, interdimensional or extraterrestrial, or are they Nephilim? Are they demons? I don't know.
I don't know. I think right now, I think all the above. I cannot say one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. You know, can they go in and out of portals? Maybe so. I don't know. I've never witnessed it. But you know what? If you tell me that you saw the one go in and out of a portal, I'm not going to knock you, and I'm going to believe you, you know?
And I think that exists. Portals are out there. You know, you talk about, we always talk about the missing 411, and everyone wants to blame it on cryptids. Well, there's 15 different categories as to why people are missing 411s. And you know what? Walking through a portal is probably one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, which brings us to last time we were at the LBL, and I got to tell you, it was weird, and we recently talked about this. Might have been last night or even the night before, but I got to tell you again, like we went in the woods at the Land Between the Lakes. It was during Bart's Live, and we went in one place, and I fully, not only me, but everybody else there, fully expected to come out of the woods at a location that we didn't. We were way off the path. And the fact that, you know, like Letitia got sick. Did we go through a portal? I don't know. I can't say we did. I can't say we didn't. Something funky happened. That's all I can say. Something funky happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thinking something really funky happened to Letitia.
Yes. I would agree.
I think I can't even tell you, because, you know, we've been in places where radiation is coming up out of the ground and there's no answer to why it was there. You know what I mean? So I don't know if she maybe had like crossed through, skimmed it, did something, got close to it, whatever. But she went right from being with Bart to being out in a field all by herself and nobody's there.
Yeah.
And then ended up being physically ill.
Yeah. She was sicker than a dog that night. I witnessed it. She was sick. And I honestly, I have no explanation for it. You know, I don't either. You know, was there any time loss or anything? Not that I'm aware of, but
she said there wasn't either.
Yeah, and it's just we went in the woods. So let's just say we went in the woods to the right of us. How we came out on the left of us, I'll never know.
Right. Exactly.
You know, gosh.
I don't know. And that was weird. I'm going to actually go back and watch Bart's Live, because that just, and through that time frame there, because we were all in there together, and I can't explain it. And like, everybody's like, whoa, what do you mean the barn's up there? You know? And we went in down here, but yeah, it was weird. I can't explain it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, now, have I ever seen a portal of any sort? No. No.
Nope.
But a lot of people I know that I trust completely have said they have felt a portal. Not necessarily where cryptids can come through or whatever, but for ghosts and other things,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. There's a strong pull for them to say, hey, there is something here that's weird,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but I've never run across one that is just out in the open. So that just makes me wonder if she did do that, that she went through it and didn't realize, or of course, we're not supposed to be able to see it. That's the whole idea. That's why, people say that Bigfoot can just go from one place to another is because they go through these portals. Well, they're not meant to be seen, that they just look like everything else. So I'm just like,
or they even just materialize or and you've heard stories about it's standing there and just evaporates or just kind of pixelates out right in front of you. I mean, from people I've spoken with stories and things.
Mm-hmm.
And, about these portals too, really quickly is I got a friend named Rob, buddy named Rob, and he's been a hunter. My brother's a hunter too for over 20 years, but this is about our other friend, Rob. And his parents owned this hunting property for 20 years or longer. And Rob has been hunting it for since 16, 15, whenever you're allowed, but he knows it's about maybe 4 or 5 acres. And then there's other areas you can go into. So it's not very big, 5 acres. So, and he knows these woods, you guys, like the back of his hand. And I was talking to him several months ago. I don't see him that often. He don't live in Michigan. Several months ago, and then he happens to find out about the show, and you've been watching it. Oh, Rob, blah blah. So he calls me the other day or whenever it was. Again, you guys, he knows his woods since a 16-year-old boy knows it like the back of his hand. He said, "You can blindfold me and take me anywhere on that property, and I can find my way home without a compass, a map, GPS, anything. I know it that well, like the back of my own hand." He says, "But I have to tell you one thing that happened to me not too long ago." I go, "Well, what's that?" I was hunting. I think I shot a deer, and I went tracking it. And then he never found the deer. But that's not even the strange part. He says, "Rob, I had to stop dead in my tracks. Because for about 5 or 6 minutes, my surroundings were unfamiliar." He goes, "Man,
that has happened to me."
He goes, "I could tell you it like the back of my hand." I told you, Rob, I know every tree, every shrub. Of course, it changes throughout the years, but I know how to get out of there blindfolded. I was for 5 or 6 minutes somewhere where I did not know where in the hell I was. Everything was foreign to this guy, my buddy.
Wow.
How can you explain that, Rob? And if you know what I said, you might have walked through a portal. Maybe you weren't even on your property. Maybe you were on some other property 20 miles up the road. I don't know. And somehow you teleported back or got back. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Brandy, that happened to you, kind of?
Yeah, it did. It did happen to me. Actually, it was because I was driving, and I drove the same, drove the same way for 10 years. So I've seen all the changes. I know what we're going through, blah, blah, blah. And I'm driving right along. And then all of a sudden I'm like, where am I? I didn't recognize a thing. And I drove that same road for 10 years. And couldn't figure out where I was.
Wow.
I don't know. But, we've talked about it before. Like, we have been driving in the car. And then, all of a sudden, you're from point A to point B. And you're like, how did I get there? I don't remember getting there or driving there. I just was from point A to point B. It was like, I don't know if your body is on like autopilot because you know where you're going or whatever, but I don't understand because there's been a lot of times like that. I'm like, I'm surprised I didn't kill myself or anybody else because I don't remember getting here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you super tired or anything like that?
No, no, absolutely not. I don't know. It was just strange. It was like, you wake up and it's like, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
Or you figure out you're somewhere and you're like, well, how did I get there? I don't know.
Right. Wow. That's just some weird stuff, man.
Yeah, I know. I don't believe it's a portal or anything,
Yeah.
but I believe it's just, we get so busy in our minds that our body goes on autopilot while our mind is doing something else. And I mean, I wouldn't say you're doing an out of body experience.
Yeah, but we were talking with Brian Bowden. Me and I think were you with me? No, Brandy, you were, right?
Yes.
Brian?
Mhm.
And too, though, you don't have to have the out of body experience. You can be driving, as you said, in your car, but you experience a different plane. You're still awake. You're still driving to your destination, but somehow you got crossed on a different plane, right? And you don't realize that you're there until you get back to your original state, and you're like, "Whoa, where the hell was I?"
Yeah, because it's like
you lost time.
Right. Well, you try to say, well, my mind was somewhere else. I was thinking about something else.
Yeah,
No.
that's only 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
Yeah. And no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yep. It didn't have nothing to do with that. I wasn't thinking about anything that, because I understand when people get under stress or worried about something that their mind is always on that particular thing. But this was not that. It was just like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I got to stop by the gas station, get some gas. So I'll have gas for work in the morning and blah, blah, blah. And, no big deal. And then it's like I woke up and went, I have no idea where I'm at.
Yes.
Yeah, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I'm telling you, there's just a lot of weirdness out there. And, I started out with Ghost and man, it's evolved.
Well, now we're involved. And I'm not going to get into it, Krista, Brandy. You remember my boat experience?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
that is time lost.
That was like
that story.
That is
time lost.
Swore that is like the Twilight Zone stuff.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another show. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that a different day because it does take some time to tell.
It does.
But every detail is important.
Yeah.
In that story, every detail is important, and that that's just a wow. That is a definitely time loss. That if there ever was a time you could say that, it was then. Sure. That story tells you, hey, are you missing something?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, just a lot of weirdness out there. And, the longer you do this, the more questions you have.
Yeah, it doesn't make it any better. People are like, people do say, well, I wouldn't want to meet a cryptid or I wouldn't want to see a ghost or whatever. Well, now that I've seen them, all it does is make me have more questions. It makes me want to get out there more, find more answers, or at least, something I didn't know. Now it's like this is going to be a lifelong thing. It's not going to stop. It's just going to continue.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to call it an obsession or whatever.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, but it just opened up a whole new world, and they don't teach these things in school. We all know they don't teach them in school, so it's just kind of like you got to figure this stuff out on your own, and because I mean, nobody has all the right answers. I mean, some bits and some pieces from all over the place are kind of like, thank you so much. I mean, bits and pieces are kind of like they explain some of my experiences, but nobody has all of the answers that really jive with me, if that makes any sense. It just doesn't all fit. It's like a puzzle and it doesn't all fit. So it's like you have to go out and figure this out for yourself, whatever it is.
Absolutely. I don't know, a lot of crazy stuff in this world that we live in, and I don't feel we're going to know the answers until we meet our maker one day ourselves.
I know it. It's so sad.
Yeah, that's the thing. The subject matter that we're all involved with and love. Hell, I don't see any answers coming soon.
Nope.
Right.
Nope,
No,
neither.
no. And I don't either.
Thank
And
you,
thank you,
Sapphire.
Sapphire. But I
What's
feel like that this is just not going to end for me. I mean, I'll try to catch every podcast, read everything I can
no,
read. I'll get out there and do my own investigations, find my own evidence. Um,
yep.
it's just that
All you
that's
can do.
all I can do.
That's all you can do.
Mhm.
Yep. And then once I'm dead and gone, I can come back and haunt my relatives and tell me I'm crazy that believing in this crap.
It is the
as they
ghost
call
of
it. You're
Krista's
like, hey,
past.
I told
It's,
you.
it's the ghost of Krista's past.
Right.
Right. Right.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. And it's funny because, my family have been very supportive, especially with everything, that has been going on in my life and what has recently happened to me and Krista. And so I can't haunt them. They're like, okay,
Mhm.
so I got to make a whole new list of people I'm going to haunt.
I know who the hell I'm gonna haunt when I'm gone. It's Cindy's
guess so.
mother. Well, she's probably dead anyway.
I think I'm just going to come back and bother my kids,
Yeah. Well, my kids do believe me. They're all believers. My kids are all
Yeah, my
believers.
kids do too. I'll be just like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
It's other family members.
Well, yeah. Now my entire family believes in everything now.
Hmm.
No, it's not like I can just say, it's almost like a joke now. Rob, seen any Bigfoot? Any ghosts?
Hmm.
No, they're not making fun. They're not being funny now. Now it's
Right.
like they expect me to come up with something.
Right.
No, nothing recently. Everybody,
nothing's
it's
happened.
going to be it's going to be very interesting this Christmas because my aunt, very devout Catholic, very religious. I know that she would cringe watching any of my shows, but I'm giving her my book for Christmas.
Go, Rob. That's
And
awesome.
yeah, I'm like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, so we're gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna see how that goes. Oh my god!
Update on
Oh
that.
my god! You're into this demonic bullshit.
Right. You're gonna have to text us on Christmas. We gotta know how she reacts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Well, no, because my sister-in-law, I call her sister though. She ain't. I knew her since high school. I call her sister, but anyway, she told my aunt Sandy. That's her name, Sandy. Hey, your nephew is now a published author. Oh, really? What's it about? Well, first of all, he's got a very good YouTube channel and this and that. She goes, really? How come you never told me? He goes, well, I probably shouldn't have told you myself either. But he's into like Bigfoot and weird stuff. She goes,
Yeah.
oh, are you kidding me? Well, what is it on Amazon? She goes, well, don't buy it. I think you might be getting that for Christmas.
That's awesome.
But then she did call me and said, congratulations. How come you didn't tell me you're an author? I go, well, I don't know. It's really something that's not up your alley.
Right.
Oh, well, you're my blood. I'm your father's sister.
Yeah.
I'll give you a pass. I said, well, you better, because I'll be talking to your ass for 6 hours on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, there you go. There
in
you
my
go.
family, when we're around, like, we don't talk any weirdness.
Yeah.
No weirdness. So
Yeah.
they know what I do. They know
Yeah.
about the channel. They know about the Facebook page. I only have maybe just a couple family members that's actually even on our Facebook page. So
Oh, my whole family knows. I don't care.
yeah, they know, but they just don't, it's just not their thing, and that's fine. One day I'll come back and haunt them and be like, hey, I'm here.
They're like,
Told
listen.
So surreal.
Well, so I don't know. Yeah, a lot of my friends now know about my channel and the book. It's mostly the guys could care less. The girls are like that are friends that I know. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's so cute, Rob.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know.
Right, exactly.
You know.
Yep. I hear you. And I'll go places and I'll wear, like my blonde stuff or your shirts or
Right.
my humanoid shirts or, something like that. And I don't care. I really don't care.
Right.
Nah, it don't matter.
Yep.
Right.
So anyway, you know what, guys, we're at the hour and 34-minute mark. So
Yes, we are. That flew by quick.
yeah, Brandy, you know what we did not do? We did not remind everybody what to watch this week. So let's do it now.
Well, today's Friday. Well, starting probably Monday, right? There's no
No,
shows going on.
starting
Wow.
Saturday.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh
see, I
yeah.
always start on Monday.
She
Yeah,
does
right.
start on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the start of the work week. You know,
That's
you
right.
got to
I
go
start on
there.
Monday. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
We
you know,
all start Mondays. Yeah.
right. On Mondays at 7 p.m. Of course, it's Texas Front Porch with Tex and myself. On Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, it's Bigfoot Michigan Rob with Beyond BMR and his lovely co-host Krista. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central, it's Donnie Cho Says Stuff. At 8 p.m., it's in Humanoids with Barton Nunnelly and his lovely wife Letitia. On Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central, it's Blondes and Booze with Krista and myself. On Thursdays at 8 p.m., of course, that's tonight. You can catch us again with Blondes, Booze, and the Woo. And on Saturday, you can check out Tex and Danielle Diva when they release their newest episode of Infamous Minds at 2 p.m. Central.
Woohoo. And once again, I want to give shout outs to and Humanoids with Barton Nunnelly for the super chat, Josh Turner, Two Shadows, Shade Viking, DJ Tyler Radio, Anelia, and Sapphire. Thank you all very much. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Again, our prayers go out to everybody who has been sick this week, and we wish you a speedy recovery. You know, it's hitting everybody hard, and God bless you all. And a special shout out to Penny Van. You know, we love you, darling.
Yeah.
And she's lost somebody very close to her just recently. So, you know, we're praying for you too.
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. We did that too on our shows, and Krista and Brandy, you'll get a kick out. It's my buddy Brian, my best friend Brian, who doesn't believe anything, was watching the couple of the shows. He goes, Rob, who are those two blondes that you've been hanging out with on YouTube? Hanging out with on YouTube? Where you been? Now I can proudly tell. I proudly told him, and his wife is another best friend of mine. I guess whatever, but I probably told him. I said, well, and her name's Sandy, and she's a blonde, and I say, well, unlike you, I could probably say that I have two blonde boos in my life, and you got one.
There you go.
I got my two boos.
That's right. The blondes and the booze.
That's
and
right.
I just say stuff like, oh, well, you know,
Yeah.
I just like to hang out with two blondes. That's all right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's
it.
right.
That's it. All right, everybody. We definitely appreciate everybody, and join Tex tomorrow at I think it's 2 p.m. Central, and for Infamous Minds. And until next week.
Yeah,
We'll
next
see you all
week.
then.
Oh, and next week is my always every year for 2 years now. I'll have a cool show too. I guess it'll be with you, Krista. It'll be Tuesday night. It's the kind of the Christmas haunting show with Dennis Carroll.
We have Dennis Carroll on Friday night.
Oh,
Yes.
God. Well, we're doubling down with Dennis. He's awesome.
Well, you know, because he is such a great guy, and
He is.
his information is just phenomenal. What he knows, I don't know how he can retain all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're really getting into the Christmas season.
Our next Friday night show, it's not going to be anything scary or anything like that with him. We're going to talk about angels.
Yeah. Okay. I seen that in your little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and our show won't be scary. We're talking about the hauntings of Christmas, all the hauntings.
Awesome.
Of,
we're just getting in the Christmas spirit.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Our Christmas shows. And if you guys, when you get off of here, flip over to Paranormal Roundtable. I do believe Josh and the guys.
Yeah, Josh is on right now.
So, yep. So flip over to Paranormal Roundtable, and we will see everybody next week. Good night,
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.